every single battery, we actually get 100 data points every 30 seconds, telling everything which happens in the cell, in every cell, in the battery, the temperature, charging, discharging, everything. On the whole, obviously, a lot has improved with AIS phase 2. Government has put in significant number of tests and checks in place. It's about they believing in you. And I think that's one of the biggest traits of any successful entrepreneur, that he has that set of people that he can rely on.
Tanvir Singh is building India's or the world's happiest EV company.
There is a panel of 20 investors, angel investors sitting, and someone will give you 100,000, someone will give you 200,000, someone will give you more. And that's a big rush. I think that's something we need to correct. Not easy. I'm not saying I knew what I was doing. I'm not even trying to say that we did everything right. I'm just saying that the intention was there.
Good day, everyone. This is Maxson Lewis, your host on Maxson Mobility. Last time in part 1, we had a nice chat with Tanvir and how about the entire battery swapping networks. This time we're going to go a little bit more deep and have a little more different conversation about that industry and a lot more. So, Tanvir, this is very interesting that you talked about the insurance, and like I said, right, it could be one possible area of something which the EV industry needs to know. But don't you think there's enough information data which will help the insurance agencies to make it a bit easier? What's your take on all of this?
Okay, so if done right, there is a huge amount of data that is thrown out of electric vehicles, be it the batteries, be it the motors, be it general driving behavior.
Including the batteries that you have, individual batteries, do they have a...
For us, every single battery, we actually get 100 data points every 30 seconds, telling everything which happens in the cell, in every cell, in the battery, the temperature, charging, discharging, everything. And obviously, apart from that, standard geo coordinates and if done right, this data, along with the driver behavior data coming from the motor of the vehicle, coming from how he drives, where he drives, what time he drives, insurance companies can actually do a lot.
Got it.
The whole point is, first of all, majority of the industry does not have this data. It's a cost.
Right.
There is a cost for the IoT. There is a recurring cost. There is a cost for that server.
Yes.
Majority of the companies, majority of the OEMs in India are not willing to invest in that because the customer does not want it as per them, or the segment of customer they are serving does not value it. And as an OEM, they just let it go because why would they take the cost? And this is true for majority of the battery manufacturers as well. It's their batteries going in the field. Can you imagine how they are honoring warranties? With so much data happening, your warranty management should be easy, right? You know exactly what happened in the battery, what happened in the cell, whose fault was it, how do you manage the warranty? Nothing. Today, warranty management is still being done on paper with different clauses, which most of the cases might lead to issues where you might not get the warranty, because these OEMs they are not investing in the right tech because the consumer does not want it and then don't know who pays for it.
And so how Mooving is solving it? What is that?
So warranty management for us is a piece that we've been working for over as long as we've started. It's obviously first is about getting the data. Second is understanding that data, which has taken us a long time. Exactly, we can predict today if a certain cell is at a certain voltage, this is the SOC, this is the health of the battery at a particular temperature, what's going to happen next. That's the direction. And if something goes wrong with the battery, we can actually predict it in most cases before that's going to happen. Whether it's overcharging, whether it's, let's say, failure of MOSFETs for some reason or some or the other, we can predict it. And we can understand that if any scenario happened, was it because of the manufacturer's fault, or was it because we did not handle it right? Or let's say protections failed somewhere and the product used was, let's say, not substandard but had a there was something there.
issue, workmanship.
So we can actually zero it down to a fair bit of certainty. And apart from that, having the right contracts, understanding warranty contracts, having the right contracts with the OEM, I think that's very, very important. None of the startups are able to invest in that because they're small, and most of these suppliers are big and they cannot have that kind of a say with them. So I think the least that they can do is ensure that they have the data. Even if they don't have the right contracts, it will help them to go some way. But this is how we are doing it. It's a whole branch where we've invested to do warranty management in the right manner. And I think in batteries, that's a big issue across the world. Warranty management of batteries is not easy. If something goes wrong, pinpointing why it happened is, if something is going wrong, it will be going wrong for quite many days before it actually leads to a warranty scenario.
Got it.
And if you can't understand those things,
Then you
there's
just
no
not.
point to be in this industry then.
And that's why I always say, no, the EV industry is not for the faint-hearted,
Yes.
and the battery swap industry is not at all for someone who has not the appetite for something to build it out so much. And one interesting point that you made, the someone may get into this space swapping, but for someone to have solved so many variables and to be solving it all the time, to have a deep tech and to be able to solve issues around contracts, suppliers, I think that just tries to the audience out here who has always thought of swapping is just another
Battery nikali, battery dali.
battery nikala and battery nikala. There's so much underlying layers of things that needs to go right for someone to have that one swap.
Yes, because at the end of the day, it's safety.
Absolutely.
It's safe. I want to sleep peacefully at night. I cannot say there are thousands of batteries in the field, and if we've not taken care, if something happens, I'll not be able to sleep. God forbid. But if you want to sleep peacefully, that's why you do something, right? At least नींद पूरी आनी चाहिए, proper आनी चाहिए, नहीं तो फिर काम करने का फायदा क्या?
Absolutely.
You have to do all these things. But luckily, there are a lot of people trying to solve and working on these problems. So even if someone wants to get into it today, there are companies they can partner with. My only suggestion will be do your due diligence when choosing the company, because they're at different levels of maturity. They all say the same thing. They're all talking the same thing. Everyone talks of digital twin.
Yes.
Everyone talks of today refurbishing. Everyone talks of second life batteries will go into energy storage.
Yes.
When you really get into it, you will figure out 90% of them have zero clue. This is investor talk. 90% of them have zero clue what to do. Digital twin is one word. What do you do with that digital twin is what matters.
Correct.
Second life in energy storage, theoretically, yes. But are your batteries made for that kind of refurbishment process or going into those kind of racks? Or is it viable enough to do that, considering that you have welding and then how do you do it?
Correct.
Can you just take that battery and put into energy storage? Or do you really want to add value to it? And if that value is at a cost of 10,000 rupees a battery, does it make sense?
Absolutely.
So I think there are a lot of buzzwords. So don't get swayed by them. Do your own due diligence. But specifically for this, luckily you don't have to start from scratch. There are a lot of good friends out there who are doing work in this field. Happy to connect if someone wants to, and they will be having that head start if they want.
No, then this is where I would call out on the audience, whoever wants to have one person to go to. If you're looking for any answers in the battery swapping space, I think Tanvir Singh is one person from Mooving whom you should reach out. And what we will do is we will have some of your contacts listed out in the episode below. Tanvir, you raised an important point about safety and electric vehicles, fire safety. This is one of the issues. How has it been taken care of in battery swapping, especially about high temperatures, etc.? How do you manage that?
See, designing a battery is so obviously it's a field, right? It's not how India started is they got stuff from abroad, majorly China, and they started assembling batteries. Today also, I'm little digressing. These are this factory visit was not an e-mobility battery factory visit. It was actually a drone battery
Okay.
right? And there's a lot of interesting work happening in drone batteries.
Okay.
But it was drone battery visit, and I was amazed. Two cells, the technology, the cell technology is polymer, lithium polymer. So two cells just wrapped in tape with two leads coming out, no BMS, nothing.
Okay.
And that's it. That's how they are being sold in India, which is which was scary for me. So battery technology on the whole, obviously, a lot has improved with AIS phase 2.
Okay.
Government has put in significant number of tests and checks in place so that if you're building a battery, you do it right. But specifically comparing it between battery swapping and fixed battery, we we obviously take more precautions in design. We want our batteries. We spend a little more in those batteries because these batteries go through a more rugged use compared to
Yes.
fixed batteries. They are charged and discharged more times in a day. Every time you charge, the battery temperature increases. Every time you discharge, the battery temperature increases. It hits a certain limit. If I, as a battery swapping player, want my batteries to continue be utilized more in a day, because that's how I make my money. The more I sweat my battery, the more I make
Yes.
from them. I need to be very careful about these temperature rises, because if the temperature rises beyond, or let's say till the cutoff limit, the battery will stop charging.
Right.
That will basically increase my charging time. That will basically reduce how many times I can swap the battery in a day.
Yes.
So that's why I told you in the beginning that manual battery swapping is something which does not make sense in the long term, because you cannot take care of these assets that well. We have these stations where we've taken care of this cooling. So we have external active cooling, which is ensuring that these batteries in the state of charging are below a certain temperature, and thereby I can ensure that they can charge as fast as I want them to.
Got it. Got it.
I can go faster. That's mean more investment, but right now it's a sweet spot. And at the time of discharging, while they are in the vehicle, obviously, when we work with the OEM in integrating the battery, we work on the airflow to ensure that there is enough and proper airflow to cool the battery down while it's discharging.
Okay.
And the battery is not used over its design limit. We have something called as 1C discharge, 1.5C discharge. We want that discharge rate to be just right, because higher the discharge rate, can my battery take it first of all? And if it can take it, it means faster the temperature will rise,
Right.
which will lead to the issues. So ensuring proper integration is important.
Got it.
There are, as I said, any new industry, a lot of things are happening. We see that in the open market, you have two-wheelers where the batteries are not working. Young entrepreneurs and young startups are taking a battery, putting into those two-wheelers and saying, run, without any effort on integration and without knowing whether it will lead to a temperature rise, how much. So that knowledge is missing. They will learn by burning their hands. But I think that's very important, that you need to integrate with the product. You need to understand how it works and ensure your battery is capable of working. It will lead to a safe consumer experience and ensure that your asset runs long. Your investments are taken care of.
Correct.
So from our side, this is what we are doing.
Tanvir, one of the qualities of a successful entrepreneur or will be successful entrepreneur is honesty to himself. I've seen that in you, and you've been absolutely honest in the kind of responses you gave about technology, etc. And which brings me to the questions around yourself and moving and the enterprise that you've built. So Tanvir, let's go to you as an entrepreneur and your baby, which is moving. Tell me, how has the journey been building moving? How did you start? You did tell about it, and this could include things around fundraising, etc. Because there are a lot of viewers who want to know that side of it. How has that journey been specifically about moving as an enterprise? Not the EV ecosystem, but as moving.
So it's been an interesting as well as a difficult journey, as there are multiple things. So I'll touch upon as much as I could, as I can. One is it's about timing it right. We started, COVID happened. I still don't regret all the things that happen. It's been a great journey. It's been a great learning experience, and I think surviving those kind of challenges uh, make us better and uh, make us basically able to think of more difficult challenges that we can overcome.
Absolutely.
So it's been exciting that way.
Okay.
But from a learning point of view, I will say as an entrepreneur, there have been a lot of learnings. Learnings have been about uh, building the right team. I think it's very, very important that your initial team is as excited, has your back, and equally motivated as you are. It's not about just saying, "Ki, okay, I will give you ESOPs. It's not just about saying, okay, I will give you a high salary. It's about they believing in you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's one of the biggest traits of any successful entrepreneur, that he has that set of people that he can rely on. He has that kind of vision to get those people to believe in him and be on that journey with him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a piece of paper that will motivate them. So God's grace, I've been lucky in that way. But over over the years, I did make some mistakes and learned from them. And I think that's very, very important when it comes to the journey.
You have often stated that a happy team builds a better company, right? Is that how you put it? And
Yes. Uh, so we believe in making uh, Moving as the happiest EV company,
okay.
and it's a shared vision with one of my very good friends
Mm-hmm.
from the industry. His name is Aditya
Okay.
from Inverted, and we go way back. And this is what he also used to share, and this is something that uh, it's very, very important. Your See, there are two parts to it. Everyone says that your company and people working there are a family.
Yeah.
I believe that's one way of looking at it. The other way of looking at it is they're like a sports team
Mm-hmm.
who plays well, who does well on that particular game day,
That's
plays the game. Others sit on the bench. But that's how I would like to see it. But that still does not give us any excuse in making a very happy environment for them to work.
mm-hmm.
People who are happy, the team which is happy, is able to contribute better, is able to think better, and and effectively that's why we are here, right?
Right. Right.
If it was just about money, I think
There are better places
there
or
are
other
better
places.
places and other things to do, but it's about creating that environment where you can give livelihood, you can actually give them a happy space to work, and this is what we want to build a happiest EV team, and
This should be your tagline. This is, I've heard companies building profitable companies, large EV companies. But to the audience, I would actually call this out and say Tanvir Singh is building India's or the world's happiest EV company. I think that's an
that
amazing,
will be amazing.
that's an amazing position, in fact.
You see, my earlier experience has taught me one thing. I think you also touched upon it. Uh, Raising funds is not the end.
Hmm.
You touched upon saying profits. I will add to it and say raising funds is just the beginning. The biggest challenge any entrepreneur will have in their lives is people management.
Right.
Fundraising will not solve it. Okay, you can give them more salaries beyond what they will make, give them a much higher hikes. That will not give you those kind of people you need to build companies with obnoxious visions. If you
Got it.
need people to trust you and have obnoxious visions to build something huge, something which leaves a dent in that very fabric of society, where they say, okay, they are the ones, where your name is synonymous with that single thing you do, that cannot be bought by money. That is something else altogether. And that is people management at its heart. That is
Got it.
people, like making them believe in your vision, making and giving them that trust that you do your thing and you will succeed. And it's a mix of 100 things to be done. And fundraising, I think, is not the solution, is not the answer. It does attract people to you because at the end of the day, everyone wants a secure job, but it does not give you those results.
Like this is very interesting. Like I say, right? After a certain point, the entrepreneur does not build a product; he builds a people. He builds people
Yes.
who build the product.
Yes.
I think that's very well said, Tanvir. That's very well
Thank
said.
you. The other journey is obviously who do you partner with?
Oh, absolutely.
In the excitement of being an entrepreneur, in the excitement of opening your own startup, you say, okay, I want funds. I go to conferences and I go to, here you have like pitch sessions and everyone is excited. I want money, I want money. And there is a panel of 20 investors, angel investors sitting, and someone will give you 100,000, someone will give you 200,000, someone will give you more. And that's a big rush. I think that's something we need to correct. Finding that right partner who believes in you, who is the right investor for you, is something which should not be taken lightly. It should not be ki, okay, I've got 5 million, now let's do business. Because those 5 million from a wrong partner, I'm not saying wrong for any personal reasons, but generally not a good fit from a wrong partner will make your life miserable. They possibly don't have that kind of patience. Your business needs 5 years to do something remarkable. They wanted in 5 years you should have higher value so that they can exit in the 6th year because that's the fund life.
Right.
They possibly don't bring anything else to the table apart from just money, which is what a startup needs in the initial years of its gestation. It needs that nurturing, or possibly that the investor or investors team is just not getting what you're doing.
Right.
They don't get you, they don't get the business, they just don't get it. They came into it with the intention to make a big buck. Was it FOMO? Was it anything else? I don't know, but I think that is very important.
Right.
So everyone will have a learning. I will say that choose your partners and investors wisely. Luckily, we've been able to do that, and we've learned from it as well. We went out into the market. We've had some learnings there. And eventually, there are some decisions which will happen, which you might not like.
Got it.
Depending on how the investors think and how they want to, because sometimes you will have strategic investors,
Right.
which is the case with us. We have strategic investors, and they will want to see business in a certain way, right? And you might not agree with them, but because they have a lot of rights, that's how things will be. And I think at that particular time, at that particular moment, you need to be mature enough, and you need to understand uh, the larger picture that the investor is seeing. You can debate with them, or you can make them see your view. If you can't, if you are unsuccessful in making them see your view, then you should not be a roadblock into it. You should just gracefully say, okay, you won, your vision won, and that's okay. That's part of. So I think that maturity comes along the way. So I think that has been also a big learning, how to work with different uh, kind of investors or different kind of people and stakeholders who are helping you in this journey. And don't get uh, misdirected by all the noise which is happening.
Good point.
That
Very good point.
that noise. See, everyone has their own time. If I started looking, okay, I told you I started I had my first like startup in 2011, 2012. As per me, that should have been very successful, and I should have raised so much funds. And if I see here 22 years old or 25 years old or 26 years old, they are raising funds, and I feel dejected because of it. It cannot happen. Everyone has their own time. And all these stories around that now I am on Instagram. I'm an influencer on LinkedIn. Because I raised so much money, people now see me more. I start looking at it, and I say, this is what I have to be. These are wrong reasons to start. These are very wrong reasons to start because you are you are not being true to yourself. You are not being true to your investors, and that's a recipe for disaster. You get into it. You say, okay, मैंने 2 साल कर लिया. I raised so much funds. Now I want to be an influencer. I'm not saying it's wrong because you want to get your ideas out. Your intentions have to be clear, but just starting because that's where you want to go, very
That's
wrong reason to start.
in fact, Tanvir, you touched on a point which I think many people miss is this a lot of noise. The race for raising funds. And in fact, I come from a position where I believe that the race for raising fund is no longer to be celebrated. Raising funds should not be celebrated. Raising profits should be.
Yes.
I think the world has also, the ecosystem has also come
Your
to,
journey has been pretty exciting. You've gone through and you understand it, I think, better than most of us.
yes,
So
and the learning has been jointly. You have also seen it, especially at this point in time. I think be it EV or even otherwise. I mean, I love the fact that you raised this point about not looking at others having raised fund, and that excites you. You should build a business because you want to do
yes,
it.
you want to do it.
But Tanvir, in your journey of building this moving, there would have been points of and points of ups and downs. And I believe you come from a family which is into business as well, right?
Yes.
Tell us about that and how did that help or did not help because there was a lot of expectation saying, oh, you also should get into business, no? So what happened there?
No, so it's an exciting story when I tell it because my family has been into logistics.
Okay.
My father, my granddad, my great granddad, we've been owners of fleet trucks and freight forwarding. And but when my dad took over, I could see more closely what he's going through,
Mhm.
and it's not an easy business. I could see him uh, up at like 2 o'clock at night, 3 o'clock at night, and getting a call from the union of drivers, हमारी मांगे पूरी करो, and all the trucks are off the road, and these trucks are carrying client goods,
Goods.
and I don't know where they are. And logistics in India is still uh, it's not as fancy as Rivigo showed
Hmm.
it, or it's tough
It's
business.
tough
These
business.
drivers are in a very bad shape, and they unfortunate you have that's how they want to work, that's how things work, but that's how things are. And this did not happen once, this happened multiple times. And my father was like, go build something on your own, do something on your own. This is
Not your cup of tea.
not the right, like, don't get
Okay.
into logistics.
Oh,
Though
okay.
my granddad,
He explicitly stated not to get into
yeah, he
logistics.
explicitly told me not to get into logistics. My
Okay.
granddad, though, still had better memories of in logistics, so he was okay either ways. But I remember when I started Amplus Logistics, and we started delivering for big baskets and the Flipkarts, and that's how the things happen. And they were like, "Boom, firke, you are back." Life has its own, right?
Right.
You
Right.
never know how you do it now, and it's been part of my DNA, and that's been how that maybe unconsciously that's what I saw, and that's how I've built it, and that's what I wanted to solve for, and that's what I've been trying to do. So yes, it's been an interesting journey, but overall, that helps.
Hmm.
Having seen that kind of a way of life, right, where it's not 9 to 6, it's
Hmm.
either 24/7 or you are you have a weekday off.
Hmm. Got it.
That's what attracted me. That's what attracted me to build something so that I have that flexibility. I don't mind working 24/7, but I love the flexibility that it gives me. But it's more 24/7s than the
Got it.
than the
Got it.
offs. I think you will echo with that. But and then that's how it is.
So how big is moving now? Like your dad would have said, okay, don't get into logistics. So sometimes you may have to go back and say, Dad, I've created something as big as this, but in logistics. So how big is
Yeah,
moving now?
he's very critical.
Hmm.
He is very critical because I share with him everything. He knows the kind of challenges we go through. So I cannot put a night and like a neat bow on it and tell him, okay, we are doing
Okay.
very well. We've done all these things. He knows the ins and out of it. He knows what's the reality, what we are going through, where we are stuck.
Hmm.
Right. So I think I still have a long way to go before he can be at peace and happy. And okay, now
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
okay. I think that will take some time.
But the joy of providing employment to a number of people, families, where
I think
exactly are in that part?
the biggest memory, like the most beautiful memory for me was during COVID,
Okay.
when where and we just started and getting these driver partners to work and building that safe space for them. Not easy. I'm not saying I knew what I was doing. I'm not even trying to say that we did everything right. I'm just saying that the intention was there, that we wanted to create a space for them where they can actually do what the country needed.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, I think, the most one of the most rewarding parts of my journey, where throughout wave one, wave two, wave three, we persevered, we continued delivering, we continued doing whatever bit we could in supporting the essential services, all the while ensuring that our partners are taken care of. Uh, we tried a lot of new policies. We tried launching insurance for them, just did not work. So we very innovatively worked out a fund for them,
Okay.
where we said every partner in the entire ecosystem contributes 10 rupees every month
Hmm.
to a pool,
Got it.
and that pool supports you, and we put an equal amount into that pool.
Got it.
This is not your standard insurance. This they could understand, and God's grace, we've been able to support during hardships
Hmm.
to our partners, the family hardships, accidents,
Hmm.
all these sorts of things happen. You're in like
Kind of a
logistics, right?
welfare pool of fund
Yes,
for
and we've been able to support them, and that built a lot of trust amongst our partners. And when we see that quite a few of them took a lot of pride in working with us, and they still, even if they're not working with us, they still remember fondly the time that they had
Mhm.
at Moving. It's just beautiful. So if I go somewhere, I know there are a lot of colleagues in the industry, a lot of companies in the industry, and if someone sees and they say, okay, we used to work at Moving,
Hmm.
that's beautiful, right?
That's a
That's
good
that's
part.
amazing. They come to you, they remember, and they said we had fun and we are enjoying, and we are now at a better place.
Correct.
So we have an open culture where we say anyone who has a better opportunity and we are not able to give it to them, we support them wholeheartedly.
Correct.
And as such, everyone talks about as much as they could, as much as they can, and they talk about where they're going, what they're doing, and we are always open if they want to come back. And it's good for us, right? They learn
Hmm.
here, they contribute somewhere, and
And they
then they
can.
learn and then come back and contribute. So it's a beautiful circle.
And that brings me to the next question, Tanvir. As an entrepreneur, as a person who's been pioneer in this space, who's actually seen the EV and battery swapping specifically grow, from here, 3 years hence, what is it that you, or even before, or I'm just giving a kind of a reference time point of time. What exactly, where exactly you want to take moving? What's your plan for moving?
So right now we are already locked into a particular direction,
Okay.
right? What I want to do is obviously there are a lot of things, but as Moving, we are locked into a particular direction where we've partnered with Electrics. We share the same investor, it's a
Investor.
sister concern.
Yeah.
And Electrics is an OEM, an electric two-wheeler and electric three-wheeler OEM, who've and they have a very good reach in terms of dealerships. They have a beautiful product lineup which is coming. They
Hmm.
already have few products on the ground, and we have partnered with them to set up an exclusive battery swapping network,
Okay.
which we call the electric swapping network powered by Moving,
Hmm.
and that's what we are doing right now. In the short to mid term, that's where the Moving team will be focused majorly to build out this play, and it's taken a lot of work over the last 2.5 years in getting the integrations right, in getting the SOPs right, in learning, as I said, how to make customers' life easy. right? So all that work now is going into this direction. So next 2 years, we are looking to build this out very, very clearly. Uh, and as I said, so this is how we've arrived at the
Got it.
discussion with our investors as well, and
So
this
that's
is the
awesome.
direction we've locked ourselves into. So as far as so this is the next 2 years look like. But overall, personally, uh, if I have to just, let's say, give a larger whiteboard whiteboarding picture of where things are, a lot of work is happening at our end, as well as where I see work happening is on the second life, circular economy, uh, and in that
Hmm.
space, not just with the batteries, also with the vehicles,
Got it.
and that's a interest area where I see a lot of opportunity.
Okay.
And we are obviously doing something. I'm personally doing something on that space as well, but we'll be announcing that soon. But that I see there's a lot of opportunity in that
Opportunity.
space because now that critical mass is coming. It's not here yet.
Hmm.
It's not here yet, but that mass is coming,
Got it.
and maybe we are a couple of years away still. But there is a lot of work which needs to happen to actually be ready
Got it.
for it.
And as a person who has insights, deep insights into the battery swapping space, okay, let's not make it EV, let's make it battery swapping, because
We
it's very, there are very few people who are as candid as you are and who are as hands-on on these battery swapping space. What are the two, if I were to ask, two major things that are going to happen over the next 2 to 3 years in this space, if you want to call it out? I'm just trying to draw out your expertise on this and for people to know, hey, listen, look out for, watch
One
out
is
for this.
we'll have a lot of competition.
Okay.
So I think the biggest one on the block is Honda. Honda has been doing battery swapping pilots across India for quite some time.
Hmm.
Now with their Activa launching with swapping and without swapping, it's going to be a game changer for the industry. The consumer wins, competition increases, but that's I think one of the biggest game changers. Apart from that, Gogoro is there. They're trying their hands. I think that's a journey which will take its own time. But Honda, when it's coming, I remember talking to Honda during my Amplus time
Hmm.
because we did some solar projects for them, and they've been working on it since then.
Got it.
So I think that will be a big defining moment for
Hmm.
the industry
Okay.
with the entry of Honda, the way they will, with Activa being the most preferred two-wheeler in the industry and battery swapping, that will define
Got it.
how the next 3 to 5 years look like.
Got it.
The other thing which will define the battery swapping industry is primarily the policies.
Hmm.
This year is the year when we'll get to know whether, obviously, FAME 3, there's been a lot of debate, but are we at par with whatever government wants to do in the fixed battery space? And this will define how the investors will look at it and how the next 3 to 5 years will be when it comes to growth or when it comes to direction of the industry.
Got it.
There are obviously a lot of positive noises from the government, from the ministry, but these are the two defining moments immediately on the horizon, specifically for this year and the next, which will set the path for next 3 to 5 years.
Got it.
I'll not venture a further guess because there are a lot of things happening, but these two are
You think are the
defining moments in the industry.
Oh, that's good, Tanvir. It's for people to watch out for these. Someone
Yes.
from the industry talks about it. So, Tanvir, this has been an amazing conversation. I didn't even realize the amount of time we spent if talking about the different pieces of battery swapping,
I agree.
EV, and to be honest, uh, I found you as an individual and entrepreneur who's been absolutely upfront about things. And like I said earlier, this is a sign of a successful entrepreneur is to be upfront, honest, and absolutely straight out there. With that, Tanvir, thank you so much for coming on our show, and I wish you, Moving, and your team a huge success.
Thank you.
And to all our viewers out there, thanks for watching Maxson Mobility. It has been a great conversation with Tanvir. And for those of you who want to reach out to Tanvir, reach out to us or look out for the details in the comment section below. With that, this is Maxson Lewis signing off, your host from Maxson Mobility.